Chris the Carpenter here, RocketBrandStudios.com, and I got a new take on an old product. For years, I sold these little guys. It's a Wii camera module. It's actually the camera from a Wiimote removed and put on its own board, so you can use it as a robot sensor, and it's awesome. It's I2C communication, so it doesn't take up very many pins. It'll track up to 4 distinct points of light, infrared or near-infrared light, and for each of those points, the library will give you position in terms of X, Y. It will give you size of the dot of light, brightness. It's just incredible. You can use it for docking, and you can find a candle. You can make your own laser radar systems for 35 bucks. I mean, you can do just anything. I've even done follow the leader with an infrared light on the back of one robot and the Wii camera following. Just an awesome sensor. The biggest drawback is the fact that the camera itself comes from an actual Wiimote. So in the past, I bought these guys broken on eBay, 40, 50 at a time, and it was just a constant struggle to keep these things in stock. I've now come to the conclusion that it's much easier for each individual person to find one broken remote than it is for me to find 400 at a time. So what is now in stock, available now, is the WiiCam do-it-yourself kit. And basically what we've got is the board, all the little components and doodads you're going to need to put it together, and some fine instructions that are actually coming up later in this video. That'll show you step by step how to get this thing open, how to get the camera out in one piece, and then how to solder it to the board. It's far simpler than you would think it could be, so don't worry. So right now, if you go to RocketBrandStudios.com, you can get the do-it-yourself kit, which has everything you need except for the Wiimote itself, which has to be a name brand Wiimote, I might add. Available on eBay for usually $2 or $3, $4. And as a matter of fact, I'm even throwing in the nunchuck connector breakout board. So this one kit will get all the goodies out of one of these. You get the camera, you get the nunchuck connector, and all the doodads to put it together. Before we get to the how to do it section of this video, again, RocketBrandStudios.com. I am Chris the Carpenter, and I don't think I gave you a ting at the end of the assembly part, which I've already recorded. So here's a preemptive ting, ting, and we'll see you soon at the website. All right, let's see if we can build one of these little Wii cameras. First thing we need is an actual Wiimote. It can't be a generic. It has to be Nintendo brand, you know, a real Wiimote, not that Nyko whatever. And you can buy one of these fancy 3-bladed screwdrivers if you want from eBay. You could pull out these 4 screws, or really, if you just have a small flat blade, you just shove it in there and just push hard, and the screws will come out. It's not that big a deal. This is really not needed. But 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. We pop open the case, and this is what we get. We get the board with the camera we want. If the camera is on a little circuit board on edge, like this, it's a generic. It's not going to work. It's got to be a camera that looks like that. And while you're taking this thing apart, you want to grab a couple pieces. This little infrared shield, and the speaker, and a little vibration motor. Those are good to play with. Okay? So let's get you scooted over here so you can see the edge of the table. Sorry about the shaking. Stop. And we're going to clamp this guy right here to the edge of the table. And then we're going to take some flux, really any kind of flux you want. I use a little flux pen. I love these little guys, but you can use. I've used plumber's flux in the past. I've used just about everything. So goop that up with a good amount of flux, and then go ahead and throw your safety glasses on. And the reason you put safety glasses on is this is flicks and likes to flick solder. So let's get this guy desoldered. Now it's counterintuitive because we're not going to desolder it. We're going to add an obscene amount of solder. Okay, so I'm using kind of the biggest diameter solder I got here, and I'm just going to put just a ginormous blob of solder on there. I've got my iron turned up a little bit. Now, with a pair of pliers, you grab the camera very gently but firmly, and now, and be very patient, you just keep this ball going back and forth over all of the pins and the 2 mounting spots, and Bob's your uncle. There it is. Okay? So that's the trick. If you were to try to desolder this, let's see if I can look in the camera. If you were to try to desolder this, one of these pins is not going to desolder, and you're going to yank it out of the camera. Okay? If you do the glob of solder trick, then everything is released at once and it just drops. Okay? So there's your camera. That's the whole trick. A lot of flux and that big blob of solder, and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And be patient. Let the solder do the work. I prefer lead to do this. Lead-free, I suppose, will work, but just good old lead is good. You can repeat the process with the nunchuck connector if you want as well. So here's our camera. So let's go ahead and scoot us back here to the table. Where am I? There I am. Okay. And clean your iron, because that was just all kinds of goopy net mess. And tin, just a gloop of tin. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe these guys a little bit and just be sure it's not globby or anything. Okay. And that's it. There's your camera out in one piece, 15 seconds, piece of cake. Here is your circuit board. And this guy goes right in like that, okay? And you set her down at a little bit of an angle like that. Let me actually grab my smaller solder. If you were a roll of small solder, where would you be? Right here. Alright. So this is just kind of regular old, let's see, what is it? 032. It's regular old solder. And let's get this guy soldered in. The first thing you do is solder one of these lugs. Okay? Just one. And now we're going to eyeball the camera, make sure it's seated all the way against the PCB. Make sure it's 90 degrees to the PCB. And we're good. If we're happy, we're happy. Let's go ahead and do this other one. There we go. And now, let's go ahead and, you know what? Let's do it this way. Solder the rest. Can we see that? Yep. Okay. And actually, you know what? I'm going to make this really easy on myself and hit this with a little flux. Flux is always your friend. And you just have to be very tricky, sneaky, but you can get all 8 of these pins done. You're just kind of patient and use the tip of the iron. Let the solder do the work. Dig it, dig it. Dig it, dig it. There you go. Hard part's done. That's it. There's your camera attached to your board. Now, we have to add our oscillator, our crystal, okay? And all you have to know is it has a pointy corner. And if you look at the screen print here, there's a dot on the pointy corner, and there's a pointy corner. So this guy just goes right in like that. And the same thing, it's just resting on the table, so it's kind of flat against the board. I'll do one pin only, okay? Now you see how it's all cattywampus because it was sitting on an angle on the table? I just tend to push this and reheat that one solder joint, and now it's flat. Simple enough. We can finish last of these guys. There's your crystal. You can clip off the end. And then lastly, I knew this was going to be a no-edit video. We're going to do our, not 2.2K, we need a 22K. Okay. So last but not least, we've got our resistor and cap for the reset circuit, and ain't nothing special about this. It's just regular through-hole components. Bend them a little bit so they don't fall out, and goop them up. Okay, done. Last but not least, go ahead and do our clipping here. These go straight to the trash, so you don't find them with your feet. And that's it. You are done. You just have to add your headers, either straights or bents, you know, whatever you want to use there, or whatever I've included in the kits, probably straights. And then the last two, these 4K7s, these are the I2C, I2C pull-up resistors. And if you're using this with Arduino, those are not necessary. The Arduino will take care of the pull-ups internally for those two I2C lines. So so you can omit those. They're included in the kit, but you can omit those if you're using an Arduino. And that's it. Go ahead, and you need to plug in your I2C lines, both a 3.3 volt line and a 5 volt line, which is a piece of cake if you're using an Uno because it's all there, and of course your ground. And then run the example code and flick a lighter or a light of some kind in front of here, infrared light or near infrared light, and you should start seeing your numbers scrolling by. Simple as that. Chris the Carpenter, Rocket Brain Studios, on the how to do it yourself kit, WiiCamera kit. Ding!